Welcome to the Science and Magic channel. My name is Amanda Levesque, and I am so happy to have you here. I'm really excited for this video. We are going to talk about feminine sparkle and how this glimmer, this radiance, this vitality is a gift to masculine energy and to masculine space. So before we get in, please give this video a like, especially if you are someone who follows my channel actively and receives value from what I offer. You interacting with my content in this way really helps the algorithm to show this video and my content to more people. And that helps my channel grow. And I'm so appreciative for that. So aside from experts on masculine feminine energy whose work I follow, shout out to Mina Irfan, the universe guru, and David Data. My main teachers of feminine energy are one, the wisdom that lives in my own body as a feminine essence being. I believe we all have access to the wisdom of the feminine in our bodies. And two, Mother Nature, how masculine feminine energy presents in nature. I learn a lot from this. And in my yoga practice this past weekend, the interplay of water and water basins, water holders, kept flowing into my mind. Like rivers and riverbeds, or the way that landscape folds around a serene lake, or kind of like the quiet depth of how a well plunges into the earth. And all of these incredible analogies started coming to me that I wanted to share with all of you. And I wasn't actively like searching my thoughts for them. They were just sort of flowing to me. I got really excited and kind of wished that I had a journal next to me in my practice. Water, in essence, is very feminine. So elements that make it feminine include its formlessness. So it really just takes the shape of whatever container it resides in. It's refreshing, it's rejuvenating and cleansing, all like feminine energy. Water offers hydration, and in that hydration, it offers a life force energy. Again, the gifts of the feminine. And at its healthiest expression, water moves in spirals. Think of water flowing over a rock bed or through a waterfall. If you look at the smallest molecules of water, they're actually spiraling. And feminine energy is not linear. Feminine energy spirals. So water is most vital. It's most absorbable, healthiest form when it's traveling in a non-linear path. That's why water that flows through like really rigid pipes at sharp angles, they're drinking water. It's not in its healthiest, most structured form. So water being feminine, flowing in spirals, expressing vitality. That's very much like feminine energy. In my course, Nervous System of a Goddess, we were exploring masculine and feminine energy as independent, masculine independent energy, and feminine dependent energy this week. And I find it interesting that we often think of being dependent as a negative thing in the United States. I don't know about other places, but that's a whole different video. And according to some of the work I've listened to from John Gray, who also talks about masculine, feminine energy, acts of independence boosts testosterone, while the hormone estrogen is elevated when we depend on others for services like getting a massage, being guided through a yoga class, or having someone do something for you. This all boosts estrogen. And in general, most women identify as feminine essence beings, though we all have masculine, feminine interplay in our bodies. And most men identify as masculine essence beings, though there are always exceptions and spectrums to this generalization. And I find this interesting because male bodies are the healthiest with higher levels of testosterone, and female bodies are healthiest with higher levels of estrogen. So male bodies being healthiest when expressing acts of independence, and female bodies acts of dependence. And these dependents are more like communal activities. So I'm still kind of wrapping my mind around this conditioning that we have, that being dependent is a negative thing. I mean, I think we're all sovereign spirits for sure, and should source our happiness from within ourselves and within our own lives and from within this, higher power, God, the universe. But is dependence really a bad thing? I'm getting kind of on a tangent here. But I'm curious what you think of this and what you feel when you hear the word dependent, what comes up for you. I might create some polls on my community channel just to start a conversation around this, because I've just been thinking about it a lot. But back to water and container analogies in terms of dependence and independence. I came back to what, a river or a riverbed is. The expression and display of water, which is the feminine energy in this analogy, is dependent on the container it is in, which is the masculine energy. Without the container, the riverbed, the lake, the bed of the lake, it will spill onto the earth and absorb into nothingness. There's literally no form. So the water is really dependent on its container. On the other hand, the masculine container, the landscape, is not necessarily dependent on the water to exist, although its existence is enhanced greatly with the addition of the water in its form, with the addition of the feminine energy. Who visits a dried out lake or riverbed? I mean, some people do, but really that's not the appeal of it. The appeal is the water that's being held. And this is what we're going to talk about today. The gift of the water to the water container, the gift of the feminine to the masculine, and a little bit of vice versa, but we're going to focus mostly on that feminine sparkle, what the feminine offers the masculine, what the water offers the container of the water. So before we do, I do want to share a bit about my new course, Nervous System of a Goddess, and the cart is currently closed because it's live and in session right now. However, everything is being recorded and it will be available for purchase in October of 2023. So keep your eye out. And if you're listening to this video after that date, check out the link in the comments and video description. This course is designed to offer not just information around feminine energy, but actual practices to help you infuse feminine essence into your body. And in it, I talk about the importance of nervous system care. I offer nervous system education. I studied neuroscience in college. And I also give you specific practices to soften your body, because we can talk about softening the body all day long, but if we don't care for the nervous system, it's going to be really hard to do that. Also practices to open the heart, which is a very feminine way of being, and then to radiate your feminine beauty into the world, how to do that through softening, through self-care, through evoking your vitality. It's going to be so good. Like I said, we just started the live sessions and I am so excited for what's coming through. Okay, back to the water holder analogy. What does the water, the feminine, offer to the landscape, the masculine, especially since the landscape does not depend on the water to exist? What are the gifts? Please say hi if you're tuning in. I'd love to hear from all of you, and feel free to join me as I'm talking about these analogies and these concepts. Like I said, they just started flowing through quite naturally into my awareness. So I'm sparsing them out too. And I think we can add to these analogies together, how they fit into life, and we can add on to them and just share ideas. So the first thing that came into my awareness that water offers a container is life. Water offers hydration. And with that hydration come all sorts of plants and fish and animals, and this dried out landscape becomes an oasis for life sources. And people come out to enjoy and visit and even live by the water sources. It's no secret that water brings life. And of course, there will always be some visitors and some life by riverbeds or dried out, lake landscapes or a dried out waterfall landscape, but nothing like when there's actual water there being held and flowed through. There's a juiciness, a sense of purpose. There's an elevated energy that the water brings to the existing landscape. So whether it's, relaxing, the energy of relaxing, the life-giving presence of softening by a serene lake, or, reinvigorating yourself at the base of a waterfall, life is drawn to expressions of water in a way that is not present when it is just the expression of the landscape. So the first thing here is feminine energy brings that masculine presence, life. The second thing is beauty. So aside from the presence of more life in terms of, plants and animals and people and energy, water adds a beauty to the landscape that is undeniable. Several years ago, I went on a 3-day backpacking trip through the Grand Tetons. And on day 3, I remember after I was so tired, and we had just come across a mountain pass and started coming down the other side. And there was this gorgeous glacier water. It was like the color of opal. I mean, it just took my breath away. And I put my pack down and I got down to the water and I splashed my face with it. And it was this timeless moment. It was so beautiful. It was like awe-inducing for me. And this sort of beauty, that was the feminine in physical form, being held by the container, that glacier water, that sacred ancient water was being held by the container of its landscape and presented to me to absorb in its beauty. Kind of think of the way that a clear mountain creek magnifies the stones underneath it, or how a turquoise lake, it kind of emulates this otherworldly moment when you look upon it. There is no doubt that the presence of the water, the presence of the feminine, adds beauty to the landscape, to the masculine. So we have first is life force, life expression. The second is beauty. And lastly, the water is the expression of the landscape. So think about it. When watching a traditional partner dance with a lead and a follow, who do your eyes gravitate towards? Probably the feminine, probably the follow, because the feminine is being danced and expressed through the leadership and the guidance and the structure of the masculine. So the feminine almost gives the masculine this purpose. Like, why else does the masculine go and learn all the dance moves in class and all the sequencing other than to guide the feminine in expressing them? What good are those moves without the feminine there to express? So in this way, it's a gift that elevates purpose to the masculine. The riverbed isn't just a landscape in and of itself. Its purpose is to hold and express the river, the water that flows through it. Without the water, there's always a bit of, lack of purpose, a bit incomplete, even though it still can exist independently of the water. There's this other it's a riverbed. It's not just a landscape. Where's the river? Where's the water? So I'm existing, and that masculine's existing, but there's no water flowing through it. So we've got life, we've got beauty, and we've got expression and purpose. The water really showcases all of the work that the land has done to be carved out over time. And yes, the water also influences the carving of the landscape throughout time. We know that through erosion. So we have these 3 gifts that the feminine offers to the masculine: life force, vitality; beauty, radiance; and then purpose, expression. And yes, we have elements of this interplay that live in our bodies and in our lives as individuals. However, if you are a feminine essence being, meaning that you primarily feel at home expressing feminine energy qualities in the world, like softness, yielding, opening, it might be helpful to consider some of these next inquiries that I'm going to offer. Number 1, what kind of water do you want to be? And what can you do to become that water now, in this moment? We think that all water is equal. It's the same. It's not true. Water is very, very different. Some water has all sorts of hidden impurities, like prescription pills that aren't filtered through our filtering systems, chemicals, toxins. Some water is completely filtered and devoid of all minerals. So like reverse osmosis water, distilled water. Yes, it's clean of impurities, but it's completely filtered. It has no minerals. And these waters side by side might look similar. I mean, yes, water with toxins could be a bit cloudier, but sometimes water that looks clear has some impurities in it. Some water is remineralized and filled with life-giving properties, like spring water is the best. Spring water at the very top of a mountain. There's hot water, like the water that bubbles up in hot springs. There's cool water, like the refreshing water of the Great Lakes. There's bubbly water and there's still water. So as I'm sharing these analogies, try not to be too literal about it. This imagery should evoke a sense of feeling in you, and that feeling influences your energy. So let yourself play with this. Let's say that I decided that I wanted to be this cooling, serene, opal-like glacier water that I came across my backpacking trip. I just think about it. I breathe it in and I resonate with that feeling. And I decide that I want to emulate that feeling when I walk into a room, when I talk to somebody, when I share a video. It shifts a lot. It shifts your energy when you resonate with the feeling of something. So decide what water you want to be. Do you want to be hot and bubbly? Do you want to be cool and serene? And what do you need to do to become that water that your spirit resonates most with? Do you need to filter and cleanse a bit? Do you need to heat up? Do you need to cool down, remineralize? These could be really, really fun journal prompts that spark a really playful approach to feminine energy. If you're tuning in, if you can just let me know if you can hear me, that would be great. I filmed a video the other day and my microphone wasn't catching my voice. And it's one of my pet peeves. So if you just let me know that you can hear me, that would be wonderful. And also what kind of water that you feel like you want to express in life. So step number 2 is, once you determine what kind of water you want to be, decide what kind of landscape you want to be held in, like how you want to be expressed. Okay, great. Thank you so much for sharing that. You can hear me. I love that. Okay. So remember, water is without form, just innately, in and of itself. That's like its property. And once you decide the structure that you want to be placed in, it will determine how you are expressed in the world. Your structure, determines your expression. And you could decide to flow down a small mountain creek, working your way over the pristine rocks that have been very lightly touched by human life. Or you might choose to be a gushing river, wide and fierce. The water is its own element, but the gushing river is determined by that landscape. It's a really wide landscape. You could be an expression that pours and refreshes like a waterfall, or you could be water that has decided to be held deep in the earth, like mysterious, available from a refreshing well in the middle of a desert. You could be more still and content, like a lake. You could choose to be held in the heat of a hot springs or in the frigid depths of Arctic waters, like nestled and protected under the ice. It's all sacred. The point here is that there is the water, which does have varying expressions, and then how the elements of the water are presented and expressed into the world. The point is, you decide your landscape and then let your feminine energy fall into it. And remember, this is an energetic contemplation. It's a felt sense that will affect your energetic resonance. I like the mysterious water. Beautiful. I love that. So feel into an energy of maybe, what's the mystery? Is it the water that's at the very bottom of the ocean floor that hasn't been explored by humans or very few humans? Is it the water in a well in the deep layers of the earth? Like where's the mystery? And then have that imagery and start to notice what container is around it and what container you need to be expressed in that way. And even though these are energetic, contemplations, there are many analogies that can be pulled from this, both in relationship and in our work. So, for example, in relationship, I won't get too much into this, and maybe this is a topic for another video, but if you're a feminine essence being, meaning your main energy is that you like to express, that you feel at home in is feminine, it's really, really important to choose a masculine essence partner that who will help you express yourself in the way that you want to. So this could be both energetically in terms of emotions. How does the container of what they're offering influence your emotional self? And materially in terms of resources, how are what they providing? How does that help you to express your vitality and radiance in the world? And although the presence of water will have, an effect on the landscape over time, it's not the job of the water to carve out the container. And this is where a lot of feminine essence beings, try to control that landscape, that masculine landscape. The feminine essence being should never try to make harsh adjustments to the landscape, to the masculine energy. It either chooses to reside there, it chooses to flow through that landscape, or it doesn't. And it's clear about knowing what sort of landscape it wants. In terms of work and business, the landscape are the systems you put into place so that your energy can be showcased and expressed. So I'll give examples from my business. For me, my landscape is my YouTube channel and my podcast, both of which allow me to show up and express my radiance. There's a lot of things that I put into place. Like I have the microphone I use, I have the camera I use. I know how to hook up Zoom onto YouTube. I have just kind of the rhythm of how to set up this space. And so now I'm showing up in my energy, and these things are holding me in that energy. The curriculum I've created in my programs allows me to be intuitively present in my vitality during my sessions with my clients. So I have set curriculum that I walk through with my clients that I've created over time. And then my client's energy and my energy flows through that curriculum and weaves. And it's different for every client, but that curriculum stays the same. My QuickBooks and my bookkeeper and my accountant, they create this beautiful riverbed for the flow of money to stream through. Considering the energy of health and vitality, my membership to my yoga studio gives me the landscape that I need to fall into a practice and flow during class. They create the schedule, and I look at that schedule and I put it on my calendar, and I go 3 times a week. And that's the structure. That is the landscape. And then I am able to fall into practice, to completely let go during that practice. I know that the teachers I resonate with, I love the studio itself is heated. My set beauty routine, doing oil massage, my gua sha practice, dry brushing, this routine, these rituals, and the fact that I've learned how to do them already, and I commit to doing them a certain number of times a week, they allow me to enhance my inner radiance. And when I show up to them, I can just relax and enjoy them. So I'm curious what analogies come forth for you in your life when you consider this interplay of water and water containers. There's so many. And again, I might continue to create content on this because it's really, really interesting to contemplate. We're nearing the end of this video. So if you have questions about anything, feel free to pop them in the chat if you have any comments. The biggest takeaway that I hope that you get from this video is to be the feminine sparkle in that masculine landscape. Be the sparkling water, the radiant water, that breathtaking water that's filled with vitality, that stops you in your tracks. Be that when you walk into a room. Be the sparkle. And the reflection question that I'll leave you with is, how can you sparkle more? Do you need to filter out some toxins? This can be like negative thought patterns, unhelpful behaviors. Do you need to change landscapes to be held in a space where you can be expressed in a way that is more aligned with your spirit? This could be the landscape of a work structure, or the landscape of a relationship, or the landscape of a way of life that you're living. Maybe you need to add something to your watery essence. Maybe you need to remineralize, renourish, boost up the life-giving properties of your spirit, your water. How can you sparkle more? Remember, your sparkle, your radiance is a gift to the masculine space in this world. It's a gift. It adds life. It adds beauty. It adds expression and purpose to whatever landscape it falls on and flows through. And yes, we have elements of these energies within ourselves as well. So they exist. If you're a feminine essence being, you're not only just feminine energy. We're both. But these energies dance throughout life, within our work, within our relationships, within our bodies, within our thoughts. Please like this video if you received value from it. I would love, love, love to hear from you in the comments. And please subscribe to this channel for more goodness, more offerings about feminine energy, about working deliciously, about nervous system care. And please do check out my course, Nervous System of a Goddess. I am also offering a 3-session coaching package if you want to kind of focus more on evoking your own sparkle and you want guidance on how to do that. I will link all of that below. I am so grateful for all of you. Oh, thanks for saying hi. I'm so glad that you enjoy this topic. I love you all, and I really enjoy being here on YouTube, and I will see you in the next one.